so let's start recording. Okay, so we're going to do navigation today. That's something you've all done to a certain extent because it showed up in at least the second tutorial, but what can you really do? What can I really do? Let's find out, okay? Let's start with a blank slate and make sure that we can get navigation working. So I'm just going to make a blank project here. Now, this will be the week when I start. I don't have any example projects out for you today, and I won't generate one right at the moment. But for the audio, I do have one, and that'll be in the new version of Unity. And there are some teething pains with this new version of Unity. Sorry about that, and very much not sorry about that, because that's one of the learning points for this course. So Unity is really good at lowering the bar and making things slick and work pretty well with a minimum of take-ups. But if you dream that when you actually get involved with a simulation, with a 3D visualization component, that everything's going to be smooth and sure, you have to do some work to build the stuff, but the tools are all solid and going to be stable, that's not what history tells us. It's so much better now than before. I mean, I remember when we worked on the America's Army game that we built for the Army, like right down there in Moves, we were working with Unreal. It was the top of the top engine at that time, cost $1 million a year just to dip your toes in that water. So you expect a lot of support, and you got a lot of support, but still extremely rough compared with what you guys have today in Unity. We were constantly, every couple of weeks, there would be a new dump of code coming down from the Unreal development team. Oh, here's the latest, greatest for the engine. It would always completely break everything we were doing over here, and we would spend anywhere from days to weeks, like building our stuff again to make it work with a new engine, knowing that in just a few days' time, the next one would come and the cycle would repeat. Okay, so understanding and being able to deal robustly with problems with a tool, with workarounds, is part of the scene for 3D modeling and simulation. So I mean, I really, time's always tight here, so yeah, I hate to do too much of that, but the fact that we have to do some can be considered a feature and not a bug, because you need to be mentally prepared for that with these kind of projects. All right. Now, what I want to do is do some navigation stuff. Now, I've got the navigation tab up here next to my inspector, and you may totally not remember how to get that there. So let's start with that. If you go into Window, go down into, I don't know, something down here. AI, I guess? Okay. Type of AI. Is there a better way? Someone's got a better way? This is how I brought it up. So if you do that, and you don't have the navigation tab up, it will immediately come up. All right. Now we have no scene. We have nothing going on here, so we have to do everything from scratch. As you'll see, it shouldn't take too long. Game object, 3D object. Let's put a plane down so we have some ground. Okay. All right. So that's already enough. Let's see if we can make something happen here. Why am I not? Oh, that's the game view rather than the scene view. That's why everything was crazy. All right, good. Okay, so there's my plane. Let's go to navigation. Let's go to, okay, we got a bunch of tabs here. So this is, you want to navigate through the scene. What do you want to navigate through the scene? I mean, a semi-truck is not a man is not a mouse. In a game, you might be doing any of those. Okay, so you got to give some information about what it is you want to move around. So the default is it's going to be something humanoid. They say humanoid, let's, again, more geometry costs you when you're doing physics computations. So a person's a cylinder, right? Yeah, well, no, not really, but close enough. Close enough. Everyone models a person as a cylinder. Okay, how big a person? There you can go. Is it a child? Is it an adult? Does it matter? If it matters, you can go and put in your characteristics there. If you just leave that alone, that's fine for now. You're able to say certain regions are not walkable regions. I generally don't mess with this very much, but just so you know, that functionality is there and it's very helpful sometimes. This is where we're actually going to go and kick off that geometry-heavy computation to decide what's walkable in the scene. And here in object, this is where we can set object by object in our scene what its characteristics are, and you must do that. So things in the scene that are going to be part of the static geometry that we want to either walk on or avoid because it's a wall or an obstacle need to be tagged as navigation static. And as you saw, that did not happen by default. You have to do this. Okay, now once you've done that, we can already kick the tires and make sure things are working. We can go over to bake and say, okay, figure out where I can move. Boom, there it is. All right. Why? The blue square is clearly the inbounds characteristic. Why doesn't it come out to the edge of the plane?
So you don't just walk off the edge?
Yeah, that's basically why. Yeah, because they assume that you already said how big your guy is. They assume you don't want him hanging half off the edge either. You don't want a guy looking like he's walking in the air right off the edge of the plane, which is what you'd have if you enlarge that blue region. Okay, so that's what that's about. If you come over here, let's see, we ought to be able to play with this. What if I say, no, he's not. This is a real skinny dude. Okay, it's we're moving Slender Man around here instead of a normal person. Okay, so there you go, bake, and you see it now lets me get closer to the edge because I have a narrower guy. Okay, all right. Well, back where I was, I don't actually want a skinny guy. Okay. Just keep hitting bake. I clicked in the advanced is what happened there. Sorry about that. Okay, good. All right, that's fine. That's the bare minimum. What about when we have obstacles there? Okay, well, we don't have any. Let's put an obstacle in. Okay, go game object, 3D object, cube. Boom. Okay, let's scale up. Go to the middle. Scale up. Let's pull it out of the ground. Why not? So it's actually... All right, like that. Okay, now you notice that, okay, I put in some new geometry. Nothing's changing because it's only when you bake that it reconsiders the possibility that blue zone might have changed. Okay, again, for little test scenes, you look at this and say, what's the big deal? It's so fast that they should probably just do it automatically for you. Yeah, that's because our scene is tiny. It's actually very heavy lifting what it's doing under the hood. If you had a big scene, you would be pissed if when you go put one little thing down, all of a sudden it locks up and goes and does computations. If you're one of the people like me who doesn't like, they already kind of do that. They do it for lighting computations. If you've built something big already and you've seen like each lighting, being recomputed down here, a progress bar, and it takes a while. Okay, that gets old real quick. Okay, that's what you'd have a second time if the navigation mesh was recomputed for you on the fly. So it doesn't try, it just waits for you to click bake. All right, so if we want it redone, let's redo it. We'll click bake now, and it's not changing. Why isn't it changing?
Navigation static.
Navigation static. We forgot something, okay? Again, it's mandatory. You got to tell it what the objects are. Again, a lot of times in a scene, you'll have stuff like I could have just put a bush down in the scene, right? A lot of times something like a bush, it's just there for window dressing. I don't want things walking around the bush in a combat situation. Then people should just plow right through it like it's not there, okay? So I want them to be ignored. Then you just don't make it navigation static. But this block definitely should be navigation static. So let's go over to object, the object tag, navigation static, back over to bake, do it again. Oh, there you go. All right. What's the little blue square floating in the air there?
Jump on it.
Yeah, in case you can walk on the top. I mean, it doesn't know what you're trying to build, okay? It sees that square is big enough for the guy to stand there, if by some means he could get there. All right. Okay, so that's all good. Now let's...
what about the star-looking thing?
The star-looking thing. Okay, that star-looking thing is nothing.
Okay.
It's just a tessellation of it's dividing up the plane into subregions. It could be that if you wanted to go and say something's walkable, not walkable, okay, or that something it's walkable, but it's 3 foot deep mud there, so you can walk through it, but you're going to go real slowly. It might be that's what that's for. Does anyone actually know for sure? Yeah, because those layers I showed there, those areas I showed there, there's clearly going to be some constraints on what you can actually specify for an area. So maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. Okay. All right. Now let's.
Each object you add in, you have to come back and go into navigation of that object.
Go into, yeah, make it static if it is static, and rebake. Yes. Okay, so let's put a guy down, and let's remember how you actually use this for something. Okay. So again, a guy's a cylinder, and they made the default cylinder so he's just about the right size to be a person. So again, unnaturally easy, but Unity is really good at that. 3D object. Say I want a cylinder. There he is. Okay, now he's not in a good location, but let's just pull him out. Okay, so there he is. Okay, so this will be my mover. Let's rename him from cylinder. Let's call him mover. Okay, there it is, just so I remember. Okay, now to actually move him, we've got to give him a component that your Joe average cylinder, if that's an oil drum, doesn't get. Okay, something that knows about navigating. All right, so we want to go into add component over here, down into navigation. Okay, and we want to add in a nav mesh agent into this guy. Agent, again, is one of those terms. It's the AI reference of the term agent that they want, right? An agent-based system, meaning it's got some smarts to it. That's why they're using the term agent. Okay, so now I've got an agent in there. All right, now an agent under the hood. I don't think it actually shows up here. Let's see, pathfinding. All right, it's got a lot of parameters here that I don't usually mess with. Okay, but one of them is not actually where you're going. Okay, but it does under the hood have a destination property that you can assign to it. And that is the mode you use to go and tell them to move somewhere. Okay, now the easy way to do this, just for demoing purposes, not for anything more real than that, unfortunately, but you've got to start somewhere. It's not there. That was my point. Yeah. Well, look as hard as you want, and it's not there. It's even squinting. All right. So let's. We got to get to it by scripting. All right, but that's cool because we know how to script. All right. So let's go to this guy right here, and let's add in a script. Go to the bottom, say new script, and we'll say, I don't know, move me. No. Yeah, wait, no, I'm in the search location. That's not what I wanted. That was an unpleasant surprise. Okay, let's go here and say move me is the name of the script. Okay, fine. It's there somewhere. Where did it actually? Oh, it took a while, but there it is. It popped up. And now we can ask that. We can edit that script. All right. Now again, the details of the script are going to definitely be different when you do something real with this, even something as modest as whatever I asked you to do for week from Friday. But the mechanics, the key mechanics, some of the key mechanics are the same. That's why we need to do this. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is wow, this thing's really struggling. Why is it so slow? First thing I want to do is go in and add a slot here. What I'm going to actually do is put down a sphere and say that's what you want to go to. The sphere is your goal. Okay, so we can just say that a sphere. It could say game object, and I'm just going to say transform. It's typically done. Goal. Let's call it goal, and let's make it public so we can assign to it easily. Boy, is it ever going to stop? Seriously. Okay, that is not good. Okay, let me save this and try to restart it. Okay. And try again. Might be some rogue lock file or something around. All right, so we're going to use the goals position to be where we want to move to. Okay, so first thing I need to do is I want to set the nav mesh agent's destination property to the goal object's position. How do I get a hold of the nav mesh agent? Get component. Thank you. Yeah, that's what we do. Get component. angled braces, right? Nav, mesh, agent. Okay. Now I noticed that you used to just be able to type this in, but you see it's sort of going, "Wah, I don't know what that is." Okay, it's because they split off the navigation into a AI unit of the Unity engine include there. Okay. Well, I can't blame them. Got to quarantine that dangerous AI stuff. So there we go. All right. So again, round braces because it's a function call. Okay. And now we can say I want the destination property from you, and I'm going to set you equal to the position property of the goal. Okay. So not a lot of code, but again, very unrealistic. And this is going to happen just when the thing starts up one time. Not very good for much. Okay. But we got to start somewhere. All right, so there we go. Now, when we go back out, the next thing I want to do is maybe drop in my my goal sphere. So I actually have one, so we can test it. So there's a sphere. Let's drag it around. Boom, 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 boom. All right, that's my goal location. Okay, let's rename it over here. We'll call it capital G goal. And then we've got to connect it to our script, right? So over here in the script, because I made the goal property public, see here it pops up. They even capitalize it for me there, okay? And there's an opportunity now to drag something in or assign to that field any other way you might assign to that field. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly click on the goal, drag it over, drop it in there, and that should do it. So if I say play, there we go. Okay. Now, it's annoying that whenever I jump into play mode, the camera pops over. Of course, the camera is where it is. There it is, way over on the far side. If I don't want the view to change when I hit play, what should I do? Okay. If that camera were right where our eyeball is, all would be good, right? Then when we hit play, it would pop into that camera, but the camera is where our eyeball is, and we'd be fine. Is there some way to accomplish that? Move the position of the camera. Now you can just kind of go over, and we got our movement and rotation things, but good luck.
Let's take the camera's position and then add a specific direction from the object we want to watch.
Okay. You can do that, and there's probably more than one way to do it. Let me show you a really, really fast way.
Fresh out of ideas. Can we go back to the script though and not create a compile?
Okay. All right. All right. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. So let me show you what you can do with the camera. What you can do is leave your eye point where you want it. Grab your click on your camera. Okay, there it is, and go to Game Object, Align with View. Okay, now the camera disappeared. That's because it's right on top of us now. If you pan back, there it is. See, if you just go back a little bit, you see it jumped right to where we are. So now when I go into play mode, it'll get rid of that annoyance. All right? Okay, so that's a good start. So you're well on your way to being able to do what you need to do for the end of next week as far as navigation goes. Okay, but there, yeah, as you might have expected, there's a few extra wrinkles that you should know something about. Okay. All right, let's go back to our navigation thing here, our navigation tab, so you can see. What could I do? Well, let's solve the next problem. What can I do if, in fact, my cylinder guy, despite his appearances, he's very fit and athletic, not at all round and voluminous. So he could easily jump to the top of that square. He could easily do a standing jump. What could I do to allow that?
Is there, well, I think it would be for the whole humanoid agent, but isn't there a way to increase the height at which you can navigate?
There is, okay. Now, There is. Oh, actually, yeah. And actually, what you're thinking of is actually a better approach. I'm going to go there in a minute. What I actually want. Okay, let me make a different scenario. Let's assume there's an invisible one of those mini gymnastics trampolines there, right? So you can run up and you can just go boing right up to the top, but only from that location. That's actually the problem I want to solve right now. Okay? There is a specific way to go and do that. There's a specific type of component that would allow us to do that. That's called an off-mesh link, I believe. Okay? So, you have a lot of flexibility in how to set up your off-mesh links. It's a component. It can be added in almost anywhere to any object, and it'll work just fine. But in point of fact, what's convenient is to actually make some objects to be the markers for the off-mesh, so you can actually see the links, okay, and then add the component to one of them. So how would we do that? So let's do this. Let's go to game object. Let's build a cylinder. Now this is just going to be a little marker, all right, unlike the humanoid there. So what I want is I want it to be kind of flattish. It's going to be a mark on the ground. Basically, it's a stand-in for a mark on the ground. So let's make its scale in the y dimension minute. Let's make it just 0.1. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, so let's take that. Let's say this is, let's just call it a marker. Marker, and we're going to need at least 2. So that'll be marker 1. Okay, so marker 1. Okay, now, when you click on this, these little planes, right? You can move things around in a plane. Did you know that you can have a thing automatically lock to what's underneath it? That's sometimes handy. Okay, the way you do that is you move it around in the plane, but you depress at the same time. I think it's Control-Shift. So first you want to grab it first, and then maybe Control-Shift. Maybe. That doesn't seem to be working. Okay, so let's try Control-Shift first. Okay, there you go. You see it popped right down into the plane? So there we go. There's my first marker. That is where the trampoline is. Okay? Now I need another one of these. To make another one really quickly, I think can't we just Control D? Just Control D to duplicate. Okay? So that's my marker 2. Let me rename it marker 2. And let's put him up at the top. Okay? So again, we can hit Control-Shift, and okay, once you get, you see it doesn't always, the functionality isn't always active because there's nothing to lock to, or it isn't clear what you want to lock to, but as soon as it becomes clear, everything's good. Okay, so I got my 2 positions. Okay, now the next thing is we need to add in the off-mesh link. So let's do it. So let's grab one of these guys. I'm going to do it on marker 1, but if you did it on marker 2, it'll be the same difference, okay, i.e. none. We go to Add Component, Navigation, Off-Mesh Link. Okay, now an off-mesh link, here you go. It's got a whole bunch of properties that you can mess with and learn about. The mandatory ones are the location of the start and the end of the off-mesh link. Again, this component doesn't have to be attached to a marker that's actually in the position of the actual movement at all. Okay, that's why nothing is filled out for you. Okay, so this is a little bit weird, but if you want that marker 1 to actually be the start of the link, I've actually got to tell it. So I've got to go over and drag marker 1 over here onto the start. Now, if I want marker 2 to be the other end of the link, you got to do likewise. Marker 2 right over there. Again, you just click and drag it in. Okay. Be a little careful that you don't deselect the thing with the off-mesh link on it. Okay, and now if we go into navigation, you see it actually does visually show it. If this were a bigger level, maybe be a little more clear, but there is kind of an arrow. And unfortunately, it's hidden in the cube mostly. Okay, but there it is. Okay, and now what we ought to be able to do is we ought to be able to grab this sphere, and we ought to be able to, again, I'm going to Control-Shift drag it here. Okay, get it. Okay, get it up there as a location. Let's see if we can make it work. Yep. Okay, not a very nice looking jump, but He kind of went through the cube, but that's probably what we should have expected because that's where the line was. Okay? So maybe not the be-all and end-all, but not a bad quick way to go and allow some movement.
Which one do we plug the off mesh link to? Is it the mover to?
The off-mesh link, I would add it to one of your markers
Okay.
for the link locations. And again, you've got two markers. Which one? It doesn't matter. You don't need to add it to both. Don't add it to both because that's just going to be redundant. Okay? All right.
What did you place the sphere just onto the top? Mark?
I just put it onto the top. Yeah, it's right underneath the cylinder now. I'll turn this off and you can see. All right. Now, the next thing I want to show is, let's see. There is an automated capability. I think that's what John was thinking of a little while ago, and I want to show that. So now this is a little risky. I don't love this, but it is useful, and I will ask you to do some stuff for week from Friday using it because I think it's good enough that I want you to be aware of it and be able to use it. But there is an automated capability that tries to figure out a lot of this automatically. Okay, so to make that happen. Let's maybe, I'll leave that alone. Let's just add in some additional geometry so I have some other stuff to clamber around on. I think maybe I need to expand my plane a bit too. Let's do it. All right. Then I can put in a few more cubes. Let me actually grab that big cube there and duplicate him a bit. And duplicate him and pull the copies out. So let's just put... let's two of them might do. All right. All right, now I'm going to sink these into the ground at various heights. So there's a real shallow one. Here's a less shallow one, just to mess around a little bit. So let's see what happens when we go to bake and we clear off the old stuff and we tell it to bake again. Okay. All right, now that's interesting. And I don't understand why they're the same size, right? So I don't understand why this guy doesn't have an area on top. That's the same as the other two. That's really weird. It could have something to do, be an artifact of the fact that he's kind of close to that other obstacle, maybe? Let's try pulling him a little further away. Nope, no love for that thing. We pull it up. Wow, it just hates this thing. Now, you know what maybe happened is, I'll bet the static geometry thing, static navigation got inherited when I copied directly from that guy, but when I copied the second time, no. Bad guess. What is the deal? All right, well. Can't have that. All right, let's get rid of this guy. Let's make another one. I'm not sure what the deal is. Let's take a cube. Let's scale him up. And I'll be super generous. And let's set him as static. And wow. All right, that's interesting. Don't understand that at all. Let's just see. The only thing I didn't try is putting him in a different location. Let's try a different location. Let's try moving this guy out, like over there. And moving this guy kind of over back where he was. Now I got both of them not showing a region on top. That's interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, I don't know if that's going to break me here, but it might. Let's see what happens. Let's keep lowering this guy down. Eventually, right, when it's just kind of a tiny bump like a curb on the side, at the end of the sidewalk, you would think that we will be able to jump up on it almost automatically. You see this step height thing here? Step height and max slope. This is under the bake functionality. So that kind of determines, those are two parameters that are a bit redundant. Okay, so max slope is kind of like how high of a grade do you want to consider traversable. Okay, and step height, that's for more of a discontinuous bump up like this thing. Okay, so when you have a step up that's less than this step height here, it should decide, there it did, decided that we can walk up, we can walk on top of it. Okay, so that one, yes. This one, no. Okay. Now let's bring it up like that. Let's try again. All right. Now both of them are a bit too tall to bump over. Now I could change the step height. So let's make sure we're right. Let's see if we make that 1 and clear and bake. Okay. Now 1 was good enough to get up there. If I make it, 2. Clear and bake. All right, now I can get up on top of both of them. All right, but that's not the solution I want. So let me put it back. Okay, what I'd like to show you is just that there's an automated way of creating the off-mesh links. And you may have seen the checkbox for that already. But now we're going to exercise it a little bit. Okay, so let's start with just this one block here. Go to the object, and we can say generate off-mesh links. Now, I'm not sure if that'll be enough. I might have to also enable them on the ground, but let's see. So I say bake, clear, bake. Now, you have to be as careful as you got to be running the baking. When you allow off-mesh links, now you got to be really careful, okay? Because that analysis is really slow, okay? Let me go and say for the ground. So nothing happened. No links got generated. So let me go to the ground and also say generate off-mesh links. Let's see if that's better. Okay, still not happening. Okay, the next thing I've got to look at is the off-mesh link. Okay, here, you see the drop height and jump distance? Those are set to 0. Okay, jump distance is jumping up. Drop height is dropping down, right? So you might have an agent where you say, sure, you can jump up 2 feet, but dropping down, you can drop down 5 feet fine without getting hurt, while you're moving normally. So we'll allow you to drop down much more than we allow you to jump up. That would be pretty normal. Okay, but we can start with the jump distance. Let's say 1. It's not doing it. It could be because of the lack of blue up on the top of these guys. It actually maybe is going to hurt me here. So let me be real liberal with this and see. Yeah. That's another. This is new and not pleasant. Let's see. Let's make it a little bigger. I guess I got to get that blue back by hook or by crook. Well, let's try again. Let me turn this back to 0 because I don't want to mess with it right at the moment. All right. Now I got something there. All right, now I have something I can maybe work with. All right, let's turn these back up. Let's just try the jump distance. Let's go up. I think if I put it up to 2 meters, that should be plenty. Maybe. I don't see it happening though. Let's put the drop height up to 2 meters. Okay, so apparently it's got to be both. I'm not sure why there's an interaction. But you see all that mess here? That's another reason not to love this, because all of a sudden it becomes hard to understand what your nav mesh actually is. Okay? But these are all now automatically generated. If I go and we can take the sphere and we can pull it over here, and hopefully we can see that those links actually work in terms of letting the guy move. Except I don't think it did work. Let's see. Let me pull back. Let's get the camera realigned. Oh, it didn't actually happen.
I think it applied that to the sphere.
Oh. Okay.
I definitely had that happen earlier.
Not what I wanted. Okay, yeah, I need to select the camera and then say align. with view. All right, let's see. We have any luck now? Yeah, I've had this happen before. Not really sure why it decides that. And it could be that, let me make sure the sphere is actually in good contact with the box. That's one of my hypotheses about what could be wrong. Okay, let's go. Do it. No. All right. Not really sure. Let's see. Not a normal problem. Let's look at our NavMesh agent and see if there's a tolerance there that is controlling how close he thinks he needs to get to the goal. Where's my mover? Here he is. Inspector. NavMesh agents. All right. Not really sure. Okay, so it could be because of the jump ability of the agent is what's limiting me. Might be I have to allow him to step more, but I mean, we saw with the off-mesh link we built by hand, it was no issue just popping them directly up to the top, but it could be that these work differently. But on the other hand, if I make it so that he could just jump up to there without a problem, I mean, without any, why do I then need the off-mesh links? I guess that's what I'm wondering. But let's experiment. See if we can see what's going on. Not really sure about this. Let's see what's in the advanced thing. All right. I wonder if... Okay, I'm going to kick up the jump distance. Those arrows, I actually don't see the arrows going from the bottom back up. Do you guys see that on yours? I see the drop downs for sure, but I'm not actually seeing jump ups, and maybe that's the problem. Those might all be drop downs. Interesting. Well,
you need to edit the step height instead of the jump distance. Jump distance may be a X distance.
but you know, if I put the step height up so it's greater than that interval, then I don't need the jump up at all, right? So it could be the jump is really only there for lateral jumping. That's possible. If we increase the jump distance, we ought to see it should eventually maybe allow jumping over to this, where there actually is some blue space to land on there. Let's see. I don't see it yet. 10 is pretty generous. And it's still not happening. All right, let's make this guy bigger and see if we can't get some blue on top of him. So it might be we still have some mysteries that we need to resolve even after our discussion here. All right. Okay. Let's click him. Oh, right. This guy wasn't clicked for generating off-mesh links, so that could have been the issue there. All right, we got some blue up here. Yay. All right, let's allow off-mesh links for this guy. And in fact, let me turn off the drop downs. Well, actually, it might be all right. Let's try. Oh wait, no, not what I wanted. I want to rebake. All right. So we're getting drop downs from both. And I would bet that if we start the guy up there, we can move our cylinder up there, he'll drop down just fine. But why no jump acrosses, I'm really not sure. Let's try to get the height of these things aligned as best we can. All right. Oh, there we go. Interesting. It seems so. So again, there's some fiddliness to these tools for sure. So the issue appears to be that it has some internal idea of if you're jumping across from object to object, how different the heights can be. And in my mind, it was a very reasonable jump up, but obviously to the code, that was not reasonable. It could be that it was even keying off that the step height of the agent. That's possible too. I don't know. But now you see, it looks like all is good, but I still don't see jump ups from the ground, and maybe I'm never going to see that. It could be I'd have to have a ramp to actually get him up here. Okay, let's just do this. Let's take our cylinder and to end the hour out, let's move him over here. Okay, I think he's in a decent spot. Let's take a look. No, it's definitely not in a decent spot. All right, is he on? Is he actually on the? He's not on the surface. No. Control Shift first, then move the guy. That does not seem right. Why is he sinking all the way down in there? That's so strange. Okay, got to do this manually. Stop. All right, come on. I want to see this work. Let's get the camera in the right position. You. Okay, go. Nope. Interesting.
He's not a smart boy, is he?
Yeah. All right. Well, we gotta. Can't leave it here. We gotta do a little bit more work with this, clearly, and then, well, we'll see how complicated it is. If I can do it in the first few minutes of Wednesday, I will. Otherwise, we'll move on to audio and then double back on Thursday. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys.